Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about how we can configure the risk-based setup or step-up consent for third-party applications. Those are the kind of shadow IT applications, and users are tend to use that, right? So since the AI era has started, you might have seen that there are so many AI related applications or applications those have the AI capabilities in order to take meeting notes, take the meeting recording, take the uh, kind of chat step by step, and it is going to give you a complete summary of the meeting, right? Or the chat of the summary, right? So everything is going to give you in the kind of formal ways as well as kind of formal records. But those are the third-party applications. Those are developed by third-party companies or maybe kind of organizations, and those are available publicly, right? But it is also putting the organization into a risk at one point, because as soon as user is going to directly try and access it with their work account, that means that respective organization gets the user's credentials as an user identity, username, email address, then the profile details and everything, right? And even if user has privileged permissions, even that can also be showing up to that respective platform that this user has some of the privileged permissions, and that can be an issue as well, right? So that is something we need to make sure those kind of application access levels, we can limit it down at one point, because even if we say we don't want to let people access any of those third-party applications, that means we have to limit it down or block those accessibility, right? So to do that, there are ways that we can do, right? Either we can directly block it, or we can allow only the certified applications that Microsoft has certified with their verification process with all those third-party vendors, right? In the Microsoft context, definitely there is a process that Microsoft is going to take, and then those applications are available and certified applications. So it is going to be considered and shown as certified applications, and only we can trust those applications. If that application is not certified and that application's security score and a risk score is higher than we anticipated, or maybe Microsoft has put their security scores on each those applications, and then it is going to simply give us the security score basis on the cloud application discovery and application secure score, and then we can flag it either it is risky, high risky, or what, right? So basis on that, we can take actions. Either we can simply block it so that no one should be able to access it. So that's another part of the deploying the policy for accessibility of those applications. But when we wanted to make sure any application that is been used or users are trying to access and that is unknown to the IT and the whole IT infra management group, right? That means we should have something to be backed, and that is going to be kind of deploying and configuring a risk-based setup consent policy, right? So that policy is going to be checking the application risks, and basis on that, it is going to either block that application at then and there when user is trying to access it, and if not, then it is going to simply block it, or it is going to allow users to access it. Again, the next step is going to be administrator has to go ahead and go through the permissions, what permissions that application is requesting for, and then upon checking and verification of permissions, and there is also validation that we can do on the application level, and then only we can go ahead and approve or provide that consent as administrator to use that application for the users. Otherwise, it is going to be simply blocked, and we can deny it. Even if someone is trying to access that application, until and unless we don't grant the admin consent, it is not going to let access that user application, right? So I'm going to show you this from the scratch by setting up the risk-based consent policy, right? Because that is something which we wanted to happen automatically in the system, and we cannot keep checking each applications and each application's risk score and security score, whether that application is compliant enough, and we cannot put the organization into risk, right? So that is why we have to put in policy. That policy is going to keep evaluating in the backend. It is also going to keep checking whether application has met their security score, risk score, and whether it is matching with the compliant and security standards as well, right? So there are other ways as well. So there is one way for from the tenant level where Microsoft is recommending that we should allow only the certified applications and other applications should not be allowed, right? And the one way which I'm going to show you, that is using the PowerShell, Microsoft Graph PowerShell, wherein we would be checking up the risk-based policy, and then we are going to set the policy in order to block those application, right? So that application is going to be blocked. And once it is blocked, then it is going to be simply not available for users. So the application is going to be blocked basis on the application scores and conditions and everything. So that is going to happen automatically in the backend. We as an IT side, we don't have to do anything, or there is no action for us at all. But as an organization, definitely we should have that policy created, right? So that way we can deploy it, right? So let me go ahead and I'll share my screen and we can start. Also, I'm going to show you how end user is going to use that application, use as in try to log into that application and try to get access, and then how admin has to grant that access, right? So if what happens if admin does not grant access, and then what happens to that application or the request, even if the request is sent to the admin and admin does not grant it, right? So that is what, or this is how it is going to be the flow, right? So let me go ahead and open up or log into the user account, or simply first I will share my screen and we'll start from the PowerShell. All right, so I am here on this portal. So this is Entra portal, and from here we can go to the enterprise applications. So that is one of the way using graphical user interface where we can go ahead and manage consents and permissions, as I said, right? So under here, this is the setting, and currently I have set it to do not allow users consent. That means I'm not going to allow anything. If I set it to allow, that means there are something only the verified and publishers verified applications are granted with the permissions, right? So even we get option here to select or choose whichever permissions we wanted to grant and allow from this list, right? So this is something, add the by default permissions or classify the specific permissions that we wanted to provide, right? So I'm not going to talk more on this or on the deep level. Majorly, I'm going to talk on these two options, right? And then I'm going to talk on the classify permissions in another separate video, because that's something it needs to be go through the detail, right? And then you can understand it better. All right. So here I have selected first option. I don't want users to be providing consent at all on their side on behalf of admins. And as administrator, I'm going to, or I have added myself here as a user to review this request. And also you can see I have set the permissions and request notifications or the emails for user as well as for administrators. And then consent is going to be expiring after 30 days. So that's the by default period, right? And consent is set to yes for now. So any user who is going to try to access any application, then that consent request is going to be flown through the administrators, and admin has to go through it, review it, and then validate that application and its permissions, what permissions that application is going to ask for. And then upon review, we can either deny it or block it, or we just wanted to do not allow that application to be used at all, right? So for now, this is the one of the way as an administrator from graphical side, and the another way that I'm going to show you, that is from the PowerShell. So this is the PowerShell 7, right? And I'm going to start from the beginning as an by connecting to this MS Graph on the directory read write level permissions and hit enter. So it's connected. I had already connected, so it is showing up as connected. And then this module is also required, but I believe it is already installed on this PowerShell. Probably I'll check if it is installed or not. If it is installed, then it is going to give error kind of duplicate, or it's already installed, or it already exists, something like that. And if not, then it is going to, okay, seems it was not, so it is just trying to install it. So let it install, and it may take 3 to 5 minutes max. Sometimes it installs within 1 or 2 minutes, because there are some of the commandlets it needs to be executed, and the script that I'm going to execute and run for enabling of a risk-based step-up consent policy. That policy has the commandlets which are associated and are part of beta version. It's not a part of the version 1.0, right? So that is in maybe in development. That is why it is not in, or that's not available yet, but probably that should be available after some time. So let's see. This should be installing here. Okay, perfect. It is installing, and it should not take much time. So it is just going to add and wrap up some of the beta commandlets here. You can see that it is installing one by one and then unzipping and processing. So it starts from downloading, then unzip, and then downloading, and then install. So this is how it is going to put all those commandlets. So here we can just wait for a minute or two, and it should be good for us to go ahead and execute that one. So meantime, I would just go to PowerShell script, and I would tell you how it is going to be working, right? So this is the script, right? And this script is going to be executed. Here you can see this is the beta directory setting commandlet, and it has a tenant or template ID, right? So this is going to be template ID, and the main commands are here, right? So this is the main command which is going to check the risky applications basis on their scores. As I said, security score, compliance score, as well as the application's overall security posture, right? So everything is going to be analyzed before user hits the access level or try to access that application at all, right? And it is going to enforce this all of these settings. So now these two options are for enabling admin consent request and enable group specific consent. That means whether we wanted to allow these two or not. So we can, these two options are not important, or those are kind of just minimal impact on it. But the real magic is here. The real setting and configuration is going to happen from this option, and it is going to be doing all the configurations as needed, or to enforce the risk-based consent policy, right? So we are going to set it to true. True means it is going to be enabled for the whole tenant, so that any user who tries to access that application is going to be evaluated and checked. And then upon validation and verification, if that application seems legitimate, it is matching the secure score from security compliance and security posture, then only that request is going to be sent out to the administrator. If not, then it is going to block that application. Then and there, it is not going to send out request to the admin at all. So user won't have or won't be able to access that one, as well as the application itself is going to be blocked, right? So this way it is going to prevent. Okay, so this seems still in progress. and this setting is going to be configured. So this setting is only available as of now in the Graph PowerShell. So this is not available in user interface from this panel or this administrator side, right? So meantime, I will just reset the password for this account, and also I will log into this account in the browser over here. So, and I'm going to show you end user experience as well. So how user is going to be trying to access. Okay, it seems it says that your account is at risk. So you just need to validate it, and you need to re-authenticate or provide the two-factor authentication. All right, it has asked to change the password. Let me change the password. All right, so this should be done quickly. And meantime, we can go back here. Oh, it is still stuck, I believe. Okay, it is logging in. So this is that application which I was talking about. So this is the one of the application, right? So this is not, or it is not necessarily only this application, but any application in the context of user is accessing on behalf of admin or for any such applications, right? Because these days we see and find so many AI built applications or AI developed applications, right? And those applications should automatically be validated and make sure those applications are also checked whether those are safe, secure. Otherwise, as an organization, we should definitely take the appropriate steps in order to protect the systems and whole tenant overall, right? So let's see. This is taking much time. Not sure why. Maybe I will just open up another PowerShell quickly here. Okay, let's see. MG context. Okay, so here I need to connect to the graph. Okay, so perfect. It's connected now. And now we can go ahead and execute this script, right? So as I said, this script is going to be executed and it's going to show. So now we are enforcing this setting, which is going to be set to true on the tenant level. So one more thing, by default, this setting is active and is enabled for the whole tenant, right? So you might be saying, if this is active, then why we are still trying to enable it or get it, right? Because we wanted to make sure the same setting is enabled for the tenant, and we are trying to, or not only trying, but we should be able to keep checking it and make sure that configuration is set appropriately, so that whatever is the configurations and whatever the applications users are using, that's going to be used appropriately, right? So here is the group ID that is needed. So that is why this is going to fail. So let me go ahead and probably I will just discard it and I will go back to the Entra portal and all groups. So I'll just create or maybe kind of separate group here, and shadow IT apps, right? And I would add my account here as a member to this group so that as soon as this group is created, it is going to be all right. So this group is created, and let me pick up this group object ID, and I will add that ID here because it needs this because of this setting. Otherwise, it is going to error it out there, right? So I'm going to just copy it back and then go to PowerShell, paste it here, and let it identify. Perfect. So it has identified it, and we should be good here to go ahead and hit enter. Now you might be saying, oh, it didn't give any error, right? Because as I said, this setting remains turned on by default with that settings. Now, let's say we wanted to check, right? Check as to validate. So we would have to let me check if it shows MG block user consent apps. Now, since it does not have that get command, right? Okay, let's see if it comes and shows up with this method. Okay, this is going to ask for, no, I think, let me try with this one. Okay, so perfect. Here you can see that there's policy, which is consent policy settings, right? So this is the name, and I would give you the templates of matching it, right? So here you can see that DFFD and the whole number. This is the template ID, and the same template ID is associated with this one, right? So here you can see that this template is applied over here, and whatever is the part, whatever the settings that we are building and adding it here is part of this template policy, right? And that is why it has given us this template over here, and everything is going to be shown up in this or is configured in this policy settings, right? So this way we can get that policy settings, and let me find it out. Let me search with the template ID. It has input I property filters search. Okay. I think this should be, let's try with this one. No, it does not. With search method, it does not, but definitely it is going to be configured and set up as a part of this policy and the template ID, right? So it's already configured, and this way we should be able to configure and set it up. Now, you might be saying, okay, why this group ID and group created? This is created because we wanted to make sure this group is attached for any of those applications or any of those requests. Those are coming to the uh, consents, or any user who is trying to access and they want to provide the consent from the admin side, and that's going to be sent out to that respective group members, right? And also this is the another way which I showed you, right? So from here also it is going to notify to the respective admin. Now let's look at the end user experience. So let's say I already logged in here as an end user and I wanted to use this application. So I'll just sign in with Microsoft and let's see what it does, right? So let's say I hit this account. Now here you can see that it is asking this user or this as a user has to provide justification because the configuration that we have set up there, we have blocked requests or we have blocked or we are not allowing any users to provide any kind of consents on their own. Instead, that consent should go to the policy and policy is going to evaluate it. And once policy finds that application is certified, it is meeting the security score, it has the right set of posture management and everything together, then it is going to go to the second step as an administrator. Then admin has to go ahead and validate the request and then grant the consent. So here it is going to ask for the permissions, right? So here you can see that it is going to ask for maintain access to the data. You have given it to access. That means user profile, user details, and additional permissions, along with sign in and read user profiles. So that is going to be asked, and this application is going to store all of that details. Let's say I, as an user, I'm going to give it a justification saying that need to take notes and create a summary, something like that, right? And then request approval because we have disabled it, and as an end user, they themselves cannot go ahead and do this one. So user has to request for approval, and then here it says that admin has been notified and the request is going to be reviewed, and then admin is going to just validate and then approve it, right? So because during this period, it has validated what validated, right? So the policy which we have configured using PowerShell, which is a risky application consent validation, that policy has verified this application within those spam or that particular number of seconds. And then it is going to notify the administrators. So now we can go back to the admin section here, and I will just go back. And to check that one, we need to go to admin consent request here. And that request should be shown up here. So you can see that this is that application, which is, you can see the number of URLs that application has. This is that application name and their homepage URL requested by which user has requested. You can see that users has put the justification there, then date of the request and username and UPN, right? So there are options as well to understand what is going to happen and what we can do, right? So if I have to block it, I can simply block it. The application is going to be blocked at all and is not available, and user cannot do anything or access. Even on the deny side, it is going to deny, but user would be able to put a request for next time access, right? So it is not going to stop the requesting access. Instead, it is going to only deny the current request that is already sent, right? And review application. So there is an application option to review the whole configurations and everything, right? And refresh is just for refreshing this page. And here's the option to review the permissions and then provide consent. So let's say if I click there as admin and provide my identity. So here you can see that this application is certified, Microsoft 365 certified, right? And is validated by Microsoft as well as by this provider, simply AI.inc, right? So even you can check that, or you can see that it has the verified mark here, and on the Microsoft 365 certified mark is also there, right? So if I go ahead and accept this consent as admin, this application is going to be granted. You can see that it is granted with admin consent, and the user would be able to get access there, right? So let's say if I go back here and I'll try to log in again, because I'll just close this down and try to log in it again with this user account. And you can see that it is trying to logging in, right? So because this application got the permissions, right? And then it is logged in with this account, right? So this way, it is going to be simply allowing, okay, it is just trying to, okay, get started, start using, okay, that's not needed. So the application is ready, right? And as an end user, I can go ahead and use this whole application now, right? So this is how it is going to be validated and verified and checked, and then we can take the appropriate actions as a IT side and administrator and management of the systems and applications, because third-party applications which are not a part of our IT stack, and those are not licensed applications as well. That means those are the shadow IT applications, and that is going to be, or that is the big challenge in today's era, because people are tend to use any applications and any systems for their use and work and everything, but IT and the respective team is not really aware which application or which user is using what applications, right? And that just kind of exposing the applications and identities and data and everything together, right? So yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about in this video and show you in practically, right? And yeah, let me know how you, or have you done this before? What are the steps you have taken? Any challenges, any issues, any problems you had to face, right? And any additional ways to do the same thing. And I would be happy to discuss and answer any questions if any. So yeah, that's all, and hope you will like it. Please do share this video with your friends, colleagues, and watch other videos around Microsoft 365, Azure, Entra ID, and FinOps as well. So yeah, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.